Hey everyone, and welcome to Hot Flashes and Cool Chats. So, I started these conversations because through my work and the community that I'm building, I meet so many amazing people who are passionate about supporting women. And I just thought that this chat series was a really good way for me to introduce them to you. You can hear their stories, get to know them personally, learn about their products, their services, and if they can be a resource for you during this season of life where we can make it a little bit brighter, a little easier, and more empowering for you. So, with that being said, today I am happy to welcome my friend and a power partner of mine, Miss Miranda Montejo from Proverbs Financial. So, she specializes in helping women and families build financial confidence through education, planning, and smart strategies. So, with that being said, welcome and please tell me a little bit about yourself and how you support women in midlife.
Yeah, thank you, Merida. And I'm excited to be here. As she mentioned, so I am in the financial planning advisory space. And when it comes to what actually brought me here in the first place was this idea as I was growing up and observing my parents navigate their midlife, that they were constantly stressed about money.
Yeah.
And I grew up thinking, well, as long as I make good money, I'm not going to have any money problems, right? And
Mhm.
as I started to work and actually earn good money, I recognized that until I actually had a system in place that could allow me to use the dollars I was making for myself in the future, or even what I decided to put away for my lifestyle in the present, until I had a system, I really was lost, and I could see how so many Americans, especially after years of earning, decades of even earning, could fall into that same trap.
Yeah.
So what brought me here was this idea that, okay, if my parents struggled in their 40s and 50s, and I struggled in my late 20s, early 30s, how can we help women and just help Americans in general have more confidence around what they're doing so that they're not ending up like my parents were, and they're not wishing that they had started sooner?
It's so true. It's so relatable. And I think we talk about this often that, yeah, I'm a woman in midlife and I did everything what I thought I did right. I went to college, I got a degree, I got a really good job, I made really good money. And I started putting money into what I thought was the right system. I would put money into my company, my 401k that my company matched, thinking, great, I am all set. This is retirement. And it's really interesting because it's almost like I had to walk in my own, have my own journey, I guess, with this to really realize that's not enough. And number one, it's not enough because there's just so many different ways to strategize with your finances and be prepared. But also, times are different now. So we are living longer with more chronic illness. And so when we're looking about at this 401k that we so perfectly put together, it may not last, or we might get sick. And so the money that we think is going for our perfect retirement, now we've just depleted it because we have expenses that we weren't, thinking were going to happen to us. So I know exactly what you're saying. And I don't know, am I a victim of this system? But I love that you're educating people at a younger age and stage to be better planned. So, okay, so now we're here. I'm this woman in midlife. What are some things that, I can do maybe a little bit differently, or maybe women and individuals, it's not just women. How do we now take where we're at and change our trajectory?
Well, I believe it starts with a conversation, because what is appropriate for you and your family is not going to be appropriate for your next door neighbor. And I think
Yeah.
that's a huge misconception in our world, especially with all of the access we have to information, is people get generic advice and think they have a plan. And I would just say if there's one thing you can do, it's start that conversation, because no two families, no two plans are alike. And you really have to understand what's relevant to you and your situation and what's relevant to the goals that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
conversation is the first place to start. And actually, I feel like that's the hardest step. It's
Yeah.
scary. People could maybe feel embarrassed or vulnerable financially. And I get it. Because again, my parents,
Yeah.
they never asked for help. And to me, I don't know if they never asked or if someone offered and they just never accepted. Either way, I want to be someone who will invite always, be able to be a resource if people are ready to take a step and have that conversation, and actually figure out if alignment from a planning perspective on my end or their situation, actually figure out if it would make sense to have a plan.
Yeah.
And maybe
I
not
think,
just a full plan, maybe like a step in the right direction, like you said.
yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid of the conversation first and foremost, if I can even speak here, and I think that in the past, a lot of our financial advice came from old men, and they spoke to the men because the men were always the one with making the financial decisions. Times are really changing. Women now are being responsible for a lot of financial decisions, especially when it comes to aging parents. And so now they're put in this position where they need to support mom and dad, figure out how to pay for caregiving, and then, but they have all their own stuff to do too. So I think the biggest thing is really being afraid. So how can someone be, I guess, put their guard down? What is kind of what can they expect when they talk to you?
Yeah, I think with the initial conversation on my end and how my team actually has them is to just have a phone call. Low barrier. I don't even need to know, what you look like or all your financials. A phone call really allows me to take like 15 minutes to ask, what brought you to the table in the first place and what you're looking to get out of the conversation. Through that, we generally get to maybe some pain points or some opportunities that someone's looking to achieve financially, and that will help dictate whether or not it makes sense to move into a more meeting Zoom-like setting where it feels a little bit more professional. So all that to say, I could understand how the financial conversation could feel like a lot at first, but low barrier, jump on a
Yeah,
phone, ask some questions, get some information, because it's only when you have that information can you truly make that informed decision for yourself, your family, and maybe your kids in the house, but even your aging parents, like you said,
yeah,
or generations to come if you plan to leave a legacy. So
yeah,
15 minutes, I would say, is a nice way to start without a lot of commitment, just to
yeah.
put your toe in the water.
Yeah, easy access. They're, reducing that barrier of entry, not feeling like they're gonna get on a call with you and feel like all of a sudden now they have to do all these steps. Because you get overwhelmed, you think, okay, if I make this conversation, now I'm gonna have another to-do list, and I just don't have the time for another to-do list. But you're right, and I think that's what people forget is information is power.
Yeah.
And the better the conversations that we have now, the less overwhelm you will have moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's interesting being in my position because one of the biggest challenges or the most common statements I hear for people not having the conversation is, I don't have time.
yeah,
And I actually believe that once you have a financial advisory team on your side, you actually create a lot more time to do what you want versus feeling like mental capacity is taken up because you're constantly thinking about money, stress, things like that. So there's a lot of things that the financial realm takes up in our bodies. And I believe that when you don't have time, that's actually an indication that you might need a team to leverage
yeah.
on your behalf.
That's super powerful. And actually, I spoke to a doctor, I think it was last week, and he was telling me he had this correlation between health is wealth and wealth is health. And what he had said to it is that a lot of people are stressed about money, which deteriorates your health. And so when you have your wealth in order, you have this team, you have people on your behalf, making some decisions in support of you, it releases that stress.
Yep.
Yeah, not in that fight and flight all the time, worrying about how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to retire? Got someone like you that's going to guide them along the way, see exactly where they are right now, put everything in the right pieces, put all the pieces of the puzzle in the right spot, see where maybe there are some gaps, support that gap so they just feel overall supported. So I love the way you work. I've worked with you personally with clients, and I see the way that you work. Just very relatable, very straightforward, not trying to lead someone down a road that doesn't make sense for them, with just really easy, actionable ways to get work done. So like I said, we've definitely worked with some clients together, and watching you in action is so great. I think it's so fun, and I appreciate
Well,
all
thank
that you
you.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's fun to work together. And that's what's the beauty of collaboration, right? Like you've
yeah.
heard the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Mm,
We all cannot do everything. And if you think you're doing everything, you might not be doing everything well. So
yeah,
leveraging teams, communities, collaborating with other professionals, that's how actual impact and change is going to be made. And I'm an extension of that in the financial realm. And I believe that the financial realm touches everything else in life. So it's
yeah,
that much more important to make sure that if you're feeling stressed out and it's financial, lean on someone because there
yeah,
could be a way to alleviate that so that you can be present, you can enjoy life today and not be constantly anxious about the future or depressed about decisions that you didn't make in the past.
yeah,
It's actually liberating. And I find when we have clients who actually understand what we do and use us to our capacity, there's freedom. And we
oh,
love to see it because our goal is for people to not just be spending time to make money, it's to use the money as a tool to have meaningful time with the
mm,
people and do the things that they love.
oh,
So
I
I
love
love
that.
that what you said, it's all intertwined and I completely agree. And that's even more the reason why it's great to just reach out, have a
Yeah.
conversation and see if timing or your situation's right to possibly do some stuff.
Yeah, allow yourself to take that breather. Take something off your shoulders because you think it's going to add something, you think it's going to cause overwhelm, but it's actually going to allow you to kind of give that breath of relief of some sort. And I love how the team really works. Um, Strategic. You said about collaboration. So dependent on who you talk to on your team, whether there needs to be advice for, your young children, if you have a young family or, individuals that are just starting a career, young professionals, people ready to retire, people who are aged, and making sure that your money is going to last for you. So I love how your team is so collaborative because if, let's say, someone reaches out to you and they identify, what they need support with is maybe not your specialty, you have someone on your team that you bring in. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you guys work as a team.
Yeah, it's exactly that, what you said. We all know collectively we can add more value to more people's lives. So when it comes to me taking a conversation, if there's not alignment there, maybe personality wise, maybe philosophy even, then we can
Mm,
say, okay, maybe you'd fit better with somebody else and we can point you in the right direction. So having a team, one of them is being able to make sure there's alignment in a relationship because I do encourage when people seek out financial advisors, they align with the philosophy, which is the way that someone's viewing your money. Ensure
mm,
that you view your money the same way. Because if not, there's
yeah,
going to be button heads along the way. So
yeah,
philosophy is always important. And then even just personality fit. If we're
yeah,
not a fit, like I said, someone else on the team might be. So either way, it's not about me. It's me figuring out how can you get the help you need because we're on a mission as a team to help Americans retire because we believe people deserve the retirement after lots of years of working. So we're
yeah.
really
And
passionate about that.
I love it. And the picture of retirement is so different. Like I had mentioned before, we had this vision, women in midlife, what it was going to look like, and it has completely shifted for us. So if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel in chaos, if you feel like, gosh, I just thought I did it right, and it doesn't feel like it, it's time to reach out to you. If you didn't think you did it right, it's not too late. There's always ways to work with you and get support. So I really love that. I want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of you. So before we wrap everything up, and of course I'll put everything in the notes, but what's the best way for people to reach out? What's kind of let's give everyone a first step, what they can do right now. We're going to watch this and this chat. And now I really need to talk to Miranda and her team. What should people do?
If someone wants to reach out, I'm happy to share my phone number. Phone number only, no texting on this line. Or if it's a little bit scary to maybe pick up the phone, send me an email, and I'm happy to share both of those.
Okay, perfect. So those will be in the notes. And I just wanted to thank you so much. I know that I've talked about this little chat series, and I appreciate you coming on. Hot Flash is cool chats. I mean, it's super easy and it's just a really fun way to get to know some really amazing people. So, so thankful that you're able to share your time with me, share your expertise, and of course, your wisdom. I love for people to connect to you and see how we can make those, meaning connections and keep going on this collaboration conversation that us women, really, really need. So, until next time, everyone, remember you are not alone on this midlife journey. We are here to talk about hot chats or hot flashes, I should say, and brain fogs. So hot flashes, cool chats, and really honestly, the whole point of this is really good, meaningful conversation. So thanks again, Miranda. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Meredith. Pleasure being here. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.